G'day, welcome back to the Richard Fernando Investing channel. I'm of course Richard Fernando, and I wanted to start by saying thank you to all the guys that have subscribed, all the guys and girls that have subscribed, left comments, liked videos. It's been phenomenal. Absolutely loving it, absolutely loving all the chat we're having. Sorry for not having a video last week as well. I thought I'd start with that just because, yeah, was dumb enough to sign up for winter school, so doing a subject in, what, 4-5 weeks instead of 13. Quite intense, still got the final exam to go, so leave a comment below wishing me luck. Let's hope it all goes well. So today, stocks I'm watching for the next month for August of 2020, but we're gonna start with just a general chat on earnings coming up. So for me, this coming week is one of the most important that we'll have for the rest of the year. Why? Because we have some of the biggest companies, the biggest names, the names that really move the index or indexes in the US, reporting earnings after one of the weirdest times in investing history. So the way I look at it, I mean, I could be wrong here. My perspective could be completely warped, but Q1 earnings, that's done and dusted. That was kind of That was a weird time as well, because it was all right after we had this crazy shock to the markets. It was right after the pandemic had hit, and those earnings, I mean, I look at them with a grain of salt because it was smack bang in the middle of just all this indecisiveness and all this stuff going on. Q2 earnings, however, I feel like this is where the cream will rise to the top. I feel like now that we're in Q2 as well, and we've seen such a insane rebound in the market since Q1, I think these earnings will basically be the marker as to whether all of that optimism and crazy price jumps we've seen, whether that has legs going forward until the end of the year. So with names such as Apple releasing earnings this week, AMD also, Facebook as well, I mean more in the near future, plus some dividend players such as 3M, I believe Procter & Gamble, P&G, also McDonald's. They're all announcing, and I think that it's some of the most important of the year. PayPal as well, Shopify, Spotify. So some decent players that might have actually seen a little boost during, I guess, these stay-at-home orders. But keep your eyes peeled for those. I think that the way the market reacts is key. Okay, so stock number one. It's impossible, unfortunately, not to talk about the global issue that we are facing right now. But the first stock I'm talking about is STONECO. If you don't know anything about STONECO, I suggest you watch my video from last month, stocks I'm watching for July 2020, just because I do talk about them and their main kind of, that whole sector. I talk about PAGS, I talk about Stone, I talk about Mercado Libre, they're all in there, they're all chucked in. So yeah, if you don't know anything about them, check that video out. But why watch it again specifically? Well, I mean, we're facing some of the weirdest times of, well, my whole life, and I'm assuming for most of you guys too. So with STONECO being based in Brazil, one of the countries that has notoriously managed this whole situation the worst. I mean, I believe I read an article yesterday where they said that some sort of international organization was trying to label the president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, they were trying to label him as a criminal for the way that he has managed this virus. So, I mean, it's generally accepted in the international community that they've done a horrible job in managing all of this. The numbers are horrific in terms of infections, all that sort of stuff, keeping it contained. So I think it's a great time to really put a magnifying glass up to all these Brazilian companies' earnings, whether it's PAGS, whether it's Stone, whether it's, I mean, any number of them really. But why particularly STONECO? I think that with just the pressures that this virus has brought upon people and spending being the bread and butter, or consumer spending being the bread and butter of payment services, I think that it's a great time to watch them. And if they can produce a strong quarter, which is admittedly the odds are stacked against them, but if they can somehow defy those odds, I think that the sentiment or the optimism that stock has been seeing over this past month, they're up near $45 again, I think that'll continue, and I think it shows you that this company does have legs. It's a strong company, profitable and growing well. If that trend can continue, then I am most likely going to be buying in again. just topping up my position a little more. But you can gather, or you can kind of gauge what I'm watching here. I'm definitely watching how they have been able to fare in a country that has been hardest hit by this virus. If it's all good, then that tells me that their potential to expand, to go to other countries, is something that I don't have to stress about, because it's a company that can manage themselves well. Sometimes you forget how big this company is. Their employees, there's so many people working for them in Brazil. And so, yeah, navigating this period, super important for them, more so than some other stocks that I've been watching. Second stock, another one that we have spoken about before, but it's hard not to talk about them, just because they're doing so much right now, which is NIO. NIO, I mean, we've got the stocks to watch for July video, we have an actual dedicated NIO video, but since then, even more developments have come up. Why am I watching them again? Basically because they have finally released a car that's not an SUV, so they're kind of directly competing with Tesla a bit more, and with Tesla having a significant share of the Chinese EV market, I'm really interested to see how NIO sells. So what am I watching? Just going to try and give it to you straight, as quick as possible, transparent as possible. I am watching pre-order numbers, I am watching deliveries for the start of August and the start of September especially, and just general sales numbers and interest in this new car. From Chinese social media, I'm gathering that it's been a hit in terms of looks, in terms of just style, aesthetic, whatnot, but that all means nothing until people actually have the car, and there's actual demand for it in terms of a monetary value or action in the pre-orders. So definitely watching that for August. They've just kind of revealed it at the Chengdu Auto Show, and everything looks the goods. It looks as though there's a significant interest, but again, August I think is a watershed moment or month for the company in terms of being able to effectively execute this next step of the strategy, adding a new car to the line. That's always huge when you don't have many lines or different models so far. So NIO, another one we're watching super closely going into August 2020. Okay, so the third part of this video, it's a bit of a weird one. Not really a stock, but more a sector. So we saw in July, we saw in June actually, and July, all these hydrogen stocks just bam, out of nowhere. No one knew they existed from one moment to the next, and then, I mean, people made a lot of money real quick. Yours truly as well, so, you know, can't complain. Because I was in on Plug at $4.40 or 30 a few months ago, and was quite sick of it doing nothing. The chart was literally just flat. It was going nowhere. And, you know, it was quite depressing for the period because so many things were popping off that I had in my watch list, and was following closely. But I like the idea of Plug at this point. I saw that hype move into NKLA as well, which is how I got into NKLA so early and managed to make a profit there. But right now, I am seeing the hype die in hydrogen. And what I'm finding interesting is I've been wanting to cycle out of Plug for a while, and I see that hype moving to space. Not as in like it's popping off so much it's going to space. I'm saying the actual sector. I am seeing a lot of interest regain in the space, exploration, technology sector. All of those sorts of companies seem to be garnering a lot of attention right now, which to me, I mean, it kind of confounds, it goes against, you know, the rising gold price, general kind of markers of uncertainty, being higher, volatility, all that sort of stuff. The idea that all these space companies are getting a lot of attention, it's strange to me. It's a strange one, because that tells me, considering a lot of these companies have no solid revenues or revenue at all, loss making, just no real numbers to gauge. If these companies are being popular and interesting to people again, it kind of stresses me out because I don't know where the hell this market's going. If space is getting this much attention again, it's almost a market to me, it's almost a sign to me of just bullishness everywhere. Because who the hell just looks at space stocks with zero revenues and whatnot, like Virgin Galactic, and thinks, you know what, in the midst of a pandemic when earnings could be terrible for most companies, I'm just going to pile my money into a company that doesn't make money. And if that's happening, that's telling me that there is insane optimism out there, if that makes sense to you. You're using it as a sort of proxy for just the general market. But Space and MAXR. I've probably pronounced the second one wrong, but the actual ticker symbol, I'll tell you the ticker symbol. I think it's just MAXR, which is very, very creative. Yep, MAXR and Space, SPCE. Very interesting to watch right now. As for significant developments, I'm not seeing too many on the very near-term horizon. So I wish there was more I could share with you. But I think that they're worth a deep dive. They're worth just some research. MAXR is more in the space tech side of things, whereas obviously Virgin Galactic is space tourism. But I think they're worth looking at for a short-term play for the time being. And to add on to that, another short-term play that isn't really in the space sector though, is again FMCI, that SPAC that we mentioned last month. Why? Because their merger date should be announced really soon. And I mean, I was reading that it should be pre-September or before the end of September anyways. So definitely keep an eye on that. I think that a lot of these SPACs and the hydrogen stocks were kind of the darlings of Wall Street for June and July. And now moving into August and September, we're going to finally and hopefully see again the cream rise to the top, as with earnings this week. So keep a close eye on all of those. But before I leave you guys, just wanted to say again, thank you for all the support on the videos. I mean, yeah, having a week off to study and whatnot, I was pretty worried that I'd come back and have no viewers. So cheers for sticking around, and keep your eyes peeled. I'm going to be doing an ASX, Australian stock market, stocks I'm watching video, which will be much more in depth, because those are the actual stocks I've been watching a lot more this month and for the month coming up. But thanks for watching and have a great day.